Hello, everyone, and welcome to the November, slightly over December 22 reInvent episode of What's New in Cloud FinOps with myself, Frank Contrepoix, and my great friend,
SteveO. Hello, Frank. How are you? Are you fully recovered from reInvent?
Oh, I'm fully recovered from reInvent. I have routines like taking the kids to school every morning. That really helps getting into that.
Some people got pretty sick, didn't they? There was this conference flu went around for sure. It's just so massive, isn't it?
Well, then I avoid the replay. So.
Yeah, that probably helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we are packed with stuff.
So much news.
So not open all the tabs. So guys, just you will have that 2-3 seconds for me to click on the link to go there.
Read it and Just before we go any further, I just want to say a big thank you, and you're not explaining, a big thank you to you, Frank, for all your hard work this year, and to actually being on time and reminding me to be on time, because this year has been so busy. As we know, I've started a new world and a new venture, and you've been very supportive of that. But also thank you to all the listeners, and thank you to all of our guests who have come on. This probably is going to be our last or second last podcast of the year. We might be able to squeeze another one in. We've got a load of people interested, and we have so many people ask us to come on the podcast. And some people do it so much better than others. We are always keen to have people on, but have an idea what you want to talk about. Don't just say, someone sent an email saying, you need to have me on your podcast. And I just read it and said, no, I don't. And I haven't even responded. But thank you to everyone that's made this year a success. We've increased our listen numbers with less episodes. Which I think is always a good sign.
Less episodes this year?
We have done less episodes because we did a few extra bonus ones last year, and this year we haven't done either of the two that are released in December. So we did the two bonus. So last year I think we did close to 30. This year we've just done 24 so far with 2 more to go, and we've already had our kind of feedback of our numbers. So that's a good thing. And I think our new formats worked and all of that. Have I given you long enough to press some of your buttons now and get things open?
Yeah, I'm ready to. Yeah. So let's start.
Instances and compute. So the first one is general availability of the EADA FA v6 VMs with increased performance and Azure Boost. They're now generally available. We've talked about them before. Nothing majorly shocking there. I know we've got so much more to get through. I will just quickly state that they've got the AMD base come with the NVMe's interface for local remote disks, giving 80% better remote storage performance, 400% faster local speed, 25% networking bandwidth improvement, and 45% higher SSD capacity per CPU is one of the cool areas on these new ones. Me again. This is the
big chunk you and then big chunk me.
Yeah. There is a new preview in Azure of the new DCAS v6 and EAS v6 confidential VMs. These are the 4th generation AMD Epics, and they are now in the confidential compute, which is always fantastic. The new CVMs have demonstrated up to 25% improvements in various benchmarks. Worth noting that apparently there is 0 reduction in performance for having confidential compute, according to the guys at AMD. I find that impossible to digest, but I am assured, and apparently the numbers I've seen even suggest it's true. I just don't understand how that can be possible, but there we go. The other thing we've got is a screenshot, because I've had to do things all over. I've had to do screenshots, yeah. Well, because last time I dragged and tried to save where it was, and it didn't work, did it? So general availability, save up to 56% on the latest Linux VMs in most Azure regions for a limited time. They're excited to announce a promotional offer for latest Linux VMs in Azure. You can save 15% in addition to existing 1-year reserved instances. Discount for the latest Linux VMs for a limited period. That limited period is until March the 31st, 2025.
Woohoo. Oh, it was also from October, yeah. So next one is on me, and it's Amazon EC2 Auto-Scaling. Introduce highly responsive scaling policies. So if you know about EC2 Auto-Scaling groups, ASG, they will create or destroy, let's put it, VMs based on your workload. And it seems that now scaling can be based on sub-minute CloudWatch metrics. So all of a sudden you can get access to CloudWatch to select your scalability, which means that you don't have to have a wait time. You might decide, I need resources as soon as this kicks in. I need resources fast, which might be great for if you know the workload, probably also you might tweak this to say, yeah, if this happened at that time, please give it all. So that's one. Next one is AWS Compute Optimizer now supports idle resource recommendation. So AWS announced that AWS Compute Optimizer now supports recommendation to help you identify idle AWS resources. So that was not there. So with the new idle resource recommendation, you will be able to identify idle EC2 instances, EC2 scaling group, EBS volume, ECS service running on Fargate, and RDS instances. So that's quite cool. I don't know how they check that. That would be an interesting thing. There is a documentation page, which I might go have a look. Blah, blah, blah. I refresh daily. So recommendations are daily. They are generated by analyzing the specification and utilization metric of the current instance over a period of the last 14 days. Or if you activate enhanced infrastructure, which is paid, you need to pay for, the recommendations are generated by analyzing a longer period of time. But yeah, so here we go. Next one is announcing idle disconnect timeout for Amazon workspaces. So my understanding, this is, I connected with instances because I don't know where to put workspaces. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a workspace instance, isn't it?
Yeah. So Amazon Workspace now support idle disconnect timeout for Windows Workspace Personal with the Amazon DCV protocol. So the administrator can now configure how long a user can be inactive while connected to a personal workspace before they are disconnected. So that's quite cool. I'm pretty sure for students. It's
worthwhile if you're on pay-as-you-go, but you don't have to have many hours before it makes more sense to have the commit instead of pay-as-you-go. And if you have the commit, it's always on. Makes me very sad.
You see, you know it better. Announcing future dated Amazon EC2 on-demand capacity reservation. So now this is capacity reservation, but until now it seemed that you can plan and schedule your capacity reservation up to 120 days in advance, which is quite cool when you have a project that you know is going to require HPC or is really going to require those GPUs potentially or whatever the resource.
120 days before Black Friday, that service is going to be very busy.
Absolutely. So that's another one. Then we have new instances. So Amazon EC2 2 instances for training are generally available. So that is a new instance. So it is specialized. It has the Trainium 2 chips. And it is available via EC2 capacity blocks, Tier 2 instances, and Ultra server. So you can get for your generative AI training and inference. I don't know. So yeah, you can. That's a new instance type, quite cool for AI. Really, there were some interesting announcement there. So the Train 2 instances feature 16 Trainium 2 chip to deliver up to 20.8 petaflops of FP8 compute. I don't know what that is.
Holy mackerel! Petaflops are smaller than exaflops, aren't they? So yeah, no, sorry.
Yes. 1.5 terabyte high bandwidth memory with 46 terabyte per second of memory bandwidth. That is complete madness. 3.2 terabyte per second of networking. Wow. And then there is an Ultra server with 62 of these, etc., etc. So massive stuff. The other one is Amazon P5EN instances optimized for generative AI and HPC. So those are all big stuff. So the P5EN instances are powered by the latest NVIDIA H200 Tensor Core GPUs and delivers the highest performance in EC2 for deep learning and high-performance computing applications. And if I remember correctly, so yeah, you can use them if you use at scale. So HPC application at scale, pharmaceutical discovery, seismic analysis, weather forecasting, financial modeling. P5EN instances have 8 H200 GPUs, each which have 1.7 GPU to memory size, 1.5 GPU, etc., etc. There are lots of stats, interesting, but it shows 35% improvement in latency compared to P5, for example. So it's quite a big one, quite an interesting one. And I think it is the first one also that seems not to come up with reserved instances.
I remember you saying yes. So we've mentioned in the past they didn't appear on the pricing page, but you're saying it's deeper than that now,
I think
right?
it's deeper than that, and it's everything new, and it gets me very upset because I have a particular liking and of how to use RIs and put a convertible, the fact you can sell, etc., etc.
So a convertible's not appearing either for them?
No, it's nothing. No RIs. So it's I think it's bad for people that know how to manage.
Does that mean you wouldn't be able to convert a convertible RI to that instance type?
That's probably the reason too. So they are blocking the growth. So it's for me. I don't like it. I personally don't like it. I find that every time you remove, I was all over the place when Azure was removing stuff, which I don't even sure they finished it because they were.
What do you mean the exchange stuff? The exchange stuff is still deferred indefinitely.
Yes, that's the point. Yeah. So that's one, and I hope this is going to be the same here because it's if you use them well, they are really powerful for the users and for the end customers to correct manage the finance bit of that. Anyway,
but they're not great for AWS convertibles, really.
What do you mean?
Well, what benefit do they get from convertibles versus what they get from sales for AWS themselves? Oh, for the end customer, I agree, but for the people who are giving us them, who are hosting it,
Agreed. But listen to the customer. Introducing
customer obsessed, I hear. Customer obsessed.
Yes. Next generation high density storage optimized i7-IE instances. And it's the same. This is the other one that can be used on demand and savings plans. And that's it. Please ask if you want, if you need. I think it's worth having. Those instances are powered by 5th generation Intel Xeon scalable processor.
Oh, the new ones, okay.
Frequency of 3.2 gigahertz, providing up to 40% better compute performance and 20% better price performance
than
compared to i3-EN. Which means that they are quite costly.
But why has it gone from i3 to i7?
I think they're just coordinating and putting back or they're comparing. I don't know. Is there an i6? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I was expecting an i4, but maybe I'm going mad. I don't remember anything after that.
Or maybe they're just bringing everything to the same number so you don't get...
Are they going to do that with T's then? Because T's are out of sync as well, aren't they? There's a few. Anyway.
Yeah, but they're historical of the T. I think the T's you can keep, but everything else you could bring to 7 or 8 at the moment.
Yeah, just if it's the same chip, but it's the same number. So you know your generations. Yeah.
Exactly. So they also deliver... they are powered by the 3rd generation Nitro SSD, so they deliver 65% better real-time storage performance, up to 50% lower storage I/O latency, and 65% lower storage I/O latency variability compared to i3-EN.
Easy for you to say.
Yes. So, but overall, they seem to be the stats. But no, it's quite a cool instance type. If you need your storage, that's probably the one you want. And I need to put the music on, or the music sound. Here we go.
Data and databases, and maybe AI-ish. Because I know where I've got to go. First one from this one might have been one of the only ones that wasn't from Google deep in their release notes, because they didn't seem to release much this month, probably because of the other events going on. They thought it's too much noise. But AlloyDB free cluster trials are now available in additional regions. So you get a ability to run a free cluster. It is for 30 days, HCP CPU basic instance with up to a terabyte of scalable storage. So it's just worth people knowing. Let me again. Yes. What's new in vCore-based Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB is the name of the article. But basically, the fact that there is now the vCore-based MongoDB Cosmos DB version, and that does allow for auto-scale tiers, which can allow for better cost performance. You'll only pay for the resources you use. The next one is the Azure SQL Managed Instance Pools general availability. The main thing to talk about this is instance pools are deployment options in Azure SQL Managed Instances service to provision small, cost-effective 2 vCore instances. This way, small instances can cost you 50% less than the non-pooled instances, making it an attractive price target when migrating small on-premises services.
And don't complain about your 3, because I think I have now 10 to deliver.
Holy mackerel! I wasn't complaining about my 3. I was just complaining to the fact that I had to go through linking release notes. And Microsoft thing has slightly improved versus last month, but there are some that don't have backup articles, so you are dependent on screenshots because copies and paste don't work.
Yeah, Snagit for me. I feel like that stuff. Anyway, OpenSearch's vector engine adds support for ultra warm with a capital U and capital W on Amazon OpenSearch service. So ultra warm is a fully managed warm storage tier that's designed to deliver cost saving on Amazon OpenSearch service. So the idea is that for OpenSearch 2.17 plus domain, you can now stroke K-NN vectors indexes on ultra-warm storage, reducing the cost of serving infrequent access KAN indexes through warm and cold storage tiers. I have no clue what the KNN is. I need to have a look at that. I think, it's a vector stuff, so it's probably the amount of...
Sounds clever.
Yeah, sounds very clever. Let's go to something I have slightly more grasp on, is AWS Compute Optimizer now support right-sizing recommendation for Aurora. So AWS Compute Optimizer provide recommendation for Aurora DB instances. These recommendations help you identify idle database instances and choose the optimal DB instance class so you can reduce costs for unused resources and increase the performance on under-provisioned workloads. So that's quite cool. Lots of work done on the Compute Optimizer. So that's Rick for you. So the computer, in this case, the Compute Optimizer automatically analyzes Amazon CloudWatch metrics such as CPU utilization, network throughput, and database connection to generate recommendations for your DB instances using Amazon Aurora MySQL and PostgreSQL. So it's quite cool. That's really nice. So if you have an Aurora, have a look at it, try to run this and see if you are under or over sized your instances. They are available in all regions where AWS Compute Optimizer is available, except GovCloud and China. Amazon RDS blue-green deployments support storage volume shrink, which was quite interesting. So now blue-green development for RDS now support the ability to shrink the storage volume for your RDS database instance, allowing you to better utilize your storage resources and manage their cost. You can now increase and decrease your storage volume size based on anticipated application demand. So before you needed to shrink a volume, you needed to create a new database with a smaller volume, then migrate the stuff. And now it seems that you can create a blue-green deployment and have one bit that is smaller than the other one. That's good savings on your storage, especially if it's provision storage.
Mm-hmm.
Disk optimized vector engine now available on Amazon OpenSearch service. So we go back to the vectors. So I have again my friends the KNN. We're becoming very friendly. But so now OpenSearch vector engine can now run modern search application at a third of the cost of on OpenSearch 217 domain. When you configure KNN vector index for disk mode, so a KNN index for disk mode, it becomes optimized for operating in a low memory environment. With disk mode on, the index is compressed using techniques like binary quantization and search quality. Anyway, I'm not going to continue reading words. I have no clue what they effectively mean. That's my bad, guys. But overall, yes, there is now a new disk-optimized vector engine for OpenSearch that seems to be super duper cool. Amazon Keyspace for Apache Cassandra reduces price for up to 75%. That's simpler, but I understand. So Keyspaces is a scalable, serverless, highly available, and fully managed Apache Cassandra compatible database service. And today, Keyspaces is reducing price for up to 75% across several pricing dimensions. So I'm trying to find for the dimensions. So they've lowered the price for on-demand mode for up to 56% for single region and up to 65% for multi-region. And for provision mode, then up to, and for provisioned mode, by up to 13% for single region and 20% for multi-region. Additionally, to make data deletion more cost-effective, Keyspace have lowered the time to leave deleted price by 75%. Sorry if I'm hesitant. I don't think that sentence makes sense in English. But anyway, so they've reduced prices enormously on Amazon Keyspace. And the big question in my head is that a trend? Are we going to more, as we say, commodity, back to lowering prices and making sure that you have the most cost-efficient price to attract people to some services in particular? We'll see.
Yeah. See.
I still have how many? 4. Going fast. Amazon OpenSearch Serverless now support binary vectors and FP16 cost-saving features. So we're excited to announce that Amazon OpenSearch Serverless now is supporting binary vector and FP16 compression, helping reduce cost by lowering the memory requirements. It also lowers the latency and improves performances. So that's really cool. I was trying to use OpenSearch Serverless for AI knowledge base. It costs a lot, but yeah, it works. So here we go. It seems that they are helping. So when I say binary vector, usually I understand that this all goes with GenAI. You need to create the index underneath. Then Amazon DynamoDB reduces price for on-demand throughput and global table. So it's reducing price for on-demand throughput by 50% and global table by up to 67%. So there are really big reductions there. Provision capacity. Yeah, they've reduced also 33%. The read and the write, you have to look at, and the replicated write cost. So really cool stuff. If using DynamoDB, seems to be one of the products that is going to be being pushed a lot. Amazon OpenSearch, because they like it and we like it. Service now supports 4th generation Intel at the C7i, M7i, R7i, and I'm going to stop it there because I think that's enough information. Then we have Amazon Redshift multi-data warehouse write through data sharing is now generally available. So what I understand is you can have multiple data warehouse writes through data sharing. So it means that you could have, let me check. I think it's going to be simple if I read. So you can now start writing to Amazon Redshift databases from multiple Amazon Redshift data warehouses in just a few clicks. That's a multi-to-multi. The written data is available on all Amazon Redshift warehouse as soon as it is committed. This allows your team to flexibly scale compute by adding warehouses of different types and size based on the right workloads to price performance need. Isolate compute, the more easily met your performance needs. So yeah, I think you can have, my guess is, from what I understand, you can have one write, and it's going to be propagated to multiple warehouses that do not have to be in the same cluster, that can be multiple clusters, that can have multiple sizes. So that's quite cool. This is available for RA3 provision cluster and serverless workgroups in all AWS regions. My last one, Amazon Aurora now support Graviton 4-based R8G database instances. And by the way, again, thank you, AWS, just for having reasonably short instance type names. Okay, because every time I hear Steven trying to express the Azure one, I feel for him. But yeah, AWS Graviton 4-based R8G database instance are now generally available for Amazon Aurora with Postgres compatibility and MySQL compatibility. 8-to-1 memory ratio to vCPU, up to 48x large. That is massive. And I am done.
Well done, you. Storage. So a few little ones. Azure Blob Storage, the default maximum egress for general purpose V2 and storage accounts has been increased from 120 gigabits per second to 200 gigabits per second, which said somewhere that would be cheaper. I've now said it. I'm trying to think out why. You wouldn't have to split things across as many. No, I don't see why it'd be cheaper. Anyway, I've said it now. That's a bit of news for you. Azure Backup reduced protected instance fee for SAP HANA Backup. They've significantly made a significant update that will bring enhanced cost efficiency to SAP HANA database backup services starting actually in September. But they reduced the fees. It was in this month's report. The November one, which actually turned out to be a load of October stuff. No, I actually think maybe it's just met it. The flat rate of $80 per instance with standard single region regardless of HANA, and $80 per 5 terabytes incremental. So apparently that's better. Anyway, that's the end of those ones.
Mm-hmm. And now, there we go. So then we have visibility, billing conductor, tag, cost categories, etc. And all three are mine. So AWS delivers enhanced root cause insight to help explain cost anomalies. And yes, it's because it says cost that I jumped on it.
Yeah, I know.
So a new enhanced root cause analysis capability for AWS cost anomaly detection, empowering you to better pinpoint and remediate underlying factor driving unplanned cost increase. By creating anomaly monitors, you can analyze spend across services, member account, cost allocation tag, and cost categories. Once a cost anomaly is detected, Cost Anomaly Detection now analyze and rank all possible combination of service, account, region, and usage type by cost impact, surfacing up to the top 10 root cause with their corresponding cost contribution. So that is quite cool to allow you to, when there is an anomaly, to understand what can be the possibility and which one would save the most, probably, or would impact the most, reducing the cost that is jumping. Next one is split cost allocation data for Amazon EKS. Now support metrics from Amazon CloudWatch. They've done tons of work with CloudWatch. Containers Insights. So starting today, you can use CPU and memory metric collected by Amazon CloudWatch Container Insight for your Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service, EKS cluster, in split cost allocation data for Amazon EKS. So you can get granular Kubernetes pod level costs and make it available in AWS cost and usage reports. Yeah, more lines. These provide more granular cost visibility for your cluster running multiple application container using shared EC2 instances, enabling better cost allocation for the shared cost of your EKS clusters. That is cool. To enable this feature, you need to enable Container Insight with enhanced observability for Amazon Kubernetes Services. That's a long name.
EKS.
Anyway, you need to install the CloudWatch agent. Here we go. And the Fluent Bit agent on your Amazon EKS cluster. Yeah, and I say memory. I usually don't see memory in CloudWatch unless there is the agent, and there is the agent.
Yeah, it has to have the agent, yeah.
Amazon SDK now support listing billing view API for AWS billing conductor users. So today, AWS announced the general availability of listing bill views API in the AWS SDK to enable AWS billing conductor users to create pro forma cost and usage report programmatically. So you can start creating your stuff.
Wow.
So I'll need to have a look at this one for billing view, populate the curve with pro forma data to manually construct the billing view by retrieving payer account. Interesting. So that is definitely something I want to have
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Look at. Yes. And that is for me.
Commitment. So I found in preview in the release notes that you can view and explore historical utilization of on-demand and future reservations in your project or organization. This data helps you analyze usage trends for your VMs or GPUs, as well as plan for future capacity needs. There's a few things, a few links after that where you can see it in the console, the API planner, or just in the API.
And me on commitments is that it seems that AWS new instances do not have only on-demand and savings plans. They seem to have removed the RI, standard or convertible. And But it's a pity because you could sell RI standard, you could convert and you can still convert. It allows you to make some mistakes, allows you to upgrade, to change, if you move, I agree they make a commitment, but if in the middle I decide that I have a really good new developers that decide to go serverless and is competent, pity to stop that for a year or some months. Anyway, that was my view. Now,
pricing, tenuously linked to pricing. Azure Functions Flex Consumption Plan. Flex Consumption Plan hosting. So Flex Consumption is a Linux-based Azure Functions hosting plan that allows you to basically pay for what you're using as a service model. What it does, and the main thing is, it gives you additional flexibility and customizability, as they say, by introducing private networking, instance memory size selection, and fast large scale out features, still based on a serverless model. So there's a nice little table that explains the benefits. The key differences are the virtual networks and the dedicated compute, which allows you to optionally reduce the risk of cold starts. Okay. And the billing is execution time plus always ready instances. So if you have used that additional part, you'll pay for it, but at least you know. And you can scale out to 1,000 instances rather than 200.
Yoo-hoo.
There you go. Yeah. That's all for pricing.
Yeah.
Savings. So I think it is me. Optimizing Spot VM availability for Azure Spot Placement Score, or with Azure Spot Placement Scores. So they've announced a new public preview it's a feature designed to evaluate likelihood of Spot VM deployments, like the success. So it will tell you, based on SKU size, region, availability zones, time of day, what the risks and scores are of your Spot deployment. Nice. You get a rating of high, medium, or low for Spot VM size prior to deployment. I think it's quite nice. Helps people use Spot. Me again.
Yeah.
And then this is just a blog article written by Phil Wickland and Olivia Melendez. Olivia generally writes good ones. And she's the GCE product manager, and Phil is the GKE product manager, and how Verve achieves 37% performance gains with C4 instances and new GKE features. And it basically talks about a 25% price performance improvement over the previous generations, which was C3 and N2.
Still you.
That's me. FinOps General. Application Insights, code optimizations for .NET is now generally available. That's pretty much exactly what it says in the tin. It looks for bottlenecks, it looks for risks, and it's for .NET, and it's in Azure, so no major surprise. Me again.
Another one, yeah.
This is just the stuff that came out of Microsoft Cost Management November 2024 edition, which was actually based on October's news. Exports to Microsoft Fabric, so you can now, and it's basically a blog around how you can export your data into Microsoft Fabric for your cost and usage data. Azure OpenAI service costs, and how you can break those down, analyze them. I believe we talked about that last month. And Copilot simulation for Azure OpenAI service, and how you can use it. And you can ask it questions for cost analysis. Worth noting, I tried using Copilot to help me work out why something wasn't working in Azure SQL. It was significantly worse than using ChatGPT. It had no idea what I was on about, but maybe I was just having a bad day. And there's some new areas to save money, which I think we've already covered, but there is a lot about hybrid cloud benefit and within migration and Azure Arc stuff, Microsoft Arc. Yep, that's
I love the concept of Arc. I think now it's mine. So AWS CloudFormation hooks now support custom AWS Lambda function, and that's an interesting one. Because now when you launch a CloudFormation, you can easily connect some bit or check things before or after, I guess. So with CloudFormation, you can provide custom logic that proactively evaluates your resource configuration before provisioning. And so you could add into that checking if it's too costly, checking if that allows pass the security checks, etc. So from the cost perspective, it's now much simpler to connect a Lambda function to validate if that CloudFormation should run or not. From the company level or from the organizational level, I think that's a big improvement for the FinOps people too. I was about to say FinOps guys. So that's it. So
yes. So nothing sustainability, straight onto miscellaneous and silly. Maybe one of these is unlocking LLM training efficiency with trillion performance analysis. I found one particularly useful bit. Where was it? There's a great sentence that normally a trillion lowers the cost to train by up to 1.8 times, 45% lower compared to TPU v5p. That is for Google. So I'll share that one briefly. And then the other one, I've got an error on the page. So basically it was that you could, that must be for the next one. One of them was that Windows 2025 is out. Fine, super. But the Google talked about this thing. It's in preview. You can migrate to virtual machines, lets you migrate Elastic Block Store EBS volumes not attached to a VM from AWS to Google. So basically, if you're unhygienic in one place, you can take that lack of hygiene with you. I'm sure there are good use cases, but I just thought, if they're wasting money in one cloud, why not help them waste money in yours as well?
I would present it the other way. I think it's a migration thing. If you
it is a migration thing.
If you want to migrate from AWS to Google, you just need to turn off all your instances, and then you can disconnect the EBS volumes, and bring them all to the other side.
That's not how this service works, though, because I've used this service and it moves it all across, and it does it in a very clever way where it can be co-running and all of that. This is just the fact that you can also move unattached disks.
Okay.
Which sometimes you do. Occasionally there's a good reason to have an unattached disk, but quite often there's not, and so you could just be moving.
Okay. Okay. It's just for moving. I thought it was moving that disk and then
the stuff that service does in breaking compute and storage is very clever.
Okay. Okay.
And that's all of mine.
That's all of yours. Now there was this Windows Server 2025. With advanced security, improved performance.
I've just briefly mentioned that.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to go. Amazon IVS introduced multi-track video to save input cost. So the idea is that if you're using Amazon Interactive Video Service, Amazon IVS, you can save up to 75% on live video input cost with standard channels, because you can throw the video directly into your own device from your own device instead of using Amazon IVS for transcoding. So multi-track video is supported in OBS Studio, which is the standard. And so when you enable multi-track video on your IVS channel, your broadcaster can simply check a box in OBS and automatically send an optimal set of video quality based on the hardware and network capability. So this enhances viewers to watch the best quality for the connection, while you pay $0.4 alpha an hour for standard channel and $2 an hour, as compared to the $2 an hour without multi-track. So, hey, that's brilliant. Divide by 4. Customers can now make payments using SEPA accounts in 5 EU countries. And I thought, hey, we are in EU, so EU in some form or way. So customers in the UK, Spain, Netherlands, and Belgium can now create AWS accounts using their bank account instead of credit card.
Ooh.
So upon sign-up, customers with a billing address in those countries can now securely connect their bank account, which support the single euro payment area standards, which I love because there is the UK into that mix. Anyway.
Yeah, nice change.
But yeah, so with this launch, customer in 4 additional countries can sign. So the feature was available for customers in Germany, and now it's also available for UK, Spain, Netherlands, and Belgium. Youpidoo. Last one, I think, is Amazon EBS announced time-based copy for EBS snapshots. So announced the general availability of time-based copy. This new feature helps you meet your business and compliance requirements by ensuring that your EBS snapshots are copied within and across AWS region within a specific time frame.
Right.
And while this is not directly related with money, it also that disaster recovery costs so much, usually even to set up, that this is cool. So time copy, it gives you predictability when copying your snapshots across regions. And that's it, really.
Wow. We've done a lot, haven't we?
Yeah, you still have a screenshot one underneath, which I have
that was the hybrid use benefit that I mentioned. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's too much stuff. Overload for the listeners already. Frank, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll do one more podcast this year, but it's all time dependent. Yes. Listeners, thank you so much, and we will either speak to you again this year or next year.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for that. Bye-bye.